Yeah, you know how back then, like we were judged by how many homers do you hit and how many RBIs do you bring in and all that. Well, the guy that plays in Colorado is gonna hit more homers than the guy that's playing in Detroit. That's a given, right? And the guy that has a better team around him is gonna have more RBIs than the guy that's not playing with a good team around him because he's gonna have more guys on base and the at bats are gonna be way more than the other guys, right? So that's not a good way to quantify how good players are and how you can compare them to each other, right? Ballparks are smaller, ballparks are bigger. It's not like the NBA or the NFL that the dimensions are all the same. So these stats are to measure all these things and put them into players so we can compare them. For example, if you play in Colorado, right, you gotta put like a 950 OPS, so your OPS plus can be like 130. Now, if I play, let's say Minnesota, which was 26 in par factor in 2022, I didn't have to hit 40 homers to have a 140 OPS plus. All I had to do is play discipline, hit the ball hard, right center field. I was crushing balls that were hitting off the wall. Well, the graph counts them as the damage that they should have been because of how hard you hit it and the angle you hit it. So it's all about the quality of contact, the plate discipline, the league that you play in, and the ballparks you play in. So that's why they use those stats because it's easier to compare players like that.
Okay, so then who was your analytics guy? Like who'd you sit down with? Like you said, the doctors and your back problem. So when did you become okay? I need to learn how to WRC plus, and I need to know I need to hit the ball to right center, and it counts.
Yeah, like front office guys.
Yeah,
maybe
was it a front office guy? Was it a guy at your agency? Was it a Boris guy? Was it someone in your life? Like, do you have a coach or somebody that will set you down? Because most players understand this stuff, but they don't really they don't talk about it the way you're openly talking about. Like, if I hit the ball to right center and I hit a double, it should have been a homer. It counts.
Yeah, so it all started after 2020 season, right? The COVID year. And I don't want to take jabs at anybody, of course, but I look at my metrics and I kind of knew the defensive metrics, and I thought that I was gonna win the Gold Glove, and I didn't win it. Right, I was second, and I met with the analytics department when the Gold Glove was announced. I called them right away, and I said, "I want you to tell me why I didn't win it." Right, and they started talking about this new stat that's coming up. That Rawlings takes 25% of the votes on this stat, and then 75% of the votes are from the coaches and managers. So I said, "What is SDI? Why haven't I heard of this?" And there's something new that they're mixing all the stats: UCR, range factor, defensive run saves, and also above average, and all that. And there was one stat that you weren't really good at, and you were good on the other three, but the other guy was good in all of them. So I said, "All right, so what do I need to do?" So right away, I got on the phone with Joe Espada, our coach in Houston. I said, "Hey, I really want to win a Gold Glove, and this is the metrics that we're getting judged by. So let's put in all our effort and all our intent into trying to be good at these stats." And every day I would just check them, man. Every day I would just check my DRS all the way to the end of the season. And towards the end, I knew it was a lot because I knew that the stats that are getting judged to win the Gold Glove, I was leading in all of them. So just by knowing that, I was able to elevate my game to a new level in terms of what we're getting judged on, right? So I can think, oh, DRS is all I want. Oh, that's fine. You can be the best player, the one that saves the most runs, but that doesn't get you the Gold Glove. So you got to do the things that we're gonna get judged by. And then it transitioned to the hitting. I said, all right, I'm gonna be a free agent. What are the stats that I need to focus on to be able to get a good contract? And that's when they started explaining to me about WRC plus and why. And they're talking about WAR and why. And they're talking about WOBA and why. And that's when I started getting into it because I'm going to my free agency. So I want teams to have no excuse to pay me what I'm worth based on these stats that they're putting in front of us that a lot of players, 90% of the league don't know about. So I just wanted to be informed and be able to play for those stats, and that's what I did.
Carlos, we've talked about this. Like, team, what about, you got your team goals, you got your individual goals for the sport, and specifically with what we're doing. So we just launched a live daily show. We're having big ass players on every single day. Wayno first show, you're on second show, Scherzer, like going down the line, the big guys, and this is what we want to get into. Where do you think baseball needs to do work from like a worldly perspective, content perspective? Like, you see what the NFL and the NBA do, like the questions that you guys want to get asked and who you want to talk to. Like, to me, when I talk to the superstars in the sport, they actually have a lot to say about this because they're like, I leave a lasting legacy for my team, wins, all of that, but for the sport and people that come after me, and we know, with contracts and CBA and all that, but also like just making sure the sport is popping for players so that they're popular and they compete with the other sports, and we're cool as a sport. Like that's one of the things in general. Like baseball needs to be cool.
Yeah, I think a big thing for me is showing the human side of baseball players, right? Because we get judged by the lens and by what people see on TV and what they see on the cameras, but that's not who we truly are, right? So, for example, I've had a lot of guys that now that I'm in a different team, they come from the Dodgers, they come from the other teams that are rivals, right? Let's say the Yankees and all that, and they tell me, Carlos, like to be honest, like playing against you, I thought you were an asshole, right? But now that I'm with you, like I feel like you're the nicest guy, right? And I tell them, hey, when I'm on the field, I'm trying to take your head. We're not friends, right? I'm trying to win. I'm trying to win championships. So if I'm going out there to try to be buddies with everyone. That's not the way I play. I don't bring the best out of myself doing that. So I know I have to have a straight face. I have to have that killer mentality, and I have to feel like you're my enemy, and I'm trying to step on you, right? And that's the way I like to go about my business. But when we leave the ballpark and we go to a restaurant and we're in the clubhouse, or I see you at Whole Foods, we're gonna have a meaningful conversation about whatever you want to talk to, right? Because I like to treat people how I want to be treated. I said that before, right? So that's how I lived. I had a guy that came from the Dodgers, and he's now with us, and he's like, wow, like I love what I see you doing with all these young guys over here. And I never thought you would be doing that by just playing against you, right? So we get judged by this lens and what people see on the camera and on TV, but that's not who we truly are as people, right? Like LeBron says, we're more than athletes, right? And only our families and our inner circle and our friends know what's inside, but people judge us by just what they see on TV.